Bob Chesney, coming over from James Madison, brought some stars with him from a team that made the CFP, remember, last year, including outstanding running back Wayne Knight, their top receiver Landon Ellis, sacks leader Sahir West. Recruiting going well, too. They have a top 20 class nationally going right now, including 7 4- and 5-star players. Chesney took some time out of his schedule to sit down with Rick Pizzo.
Well, Bob, you had multiple options after your success recently at JMU, but also at other stops as well. So why was UCLA the right landing stop for you right now?
Yeah, I've talked about it a lot in recent interviews, and I think that for me, everywhere I'd been prior to this, there were certain things, aspects about that school that I liked. I liked the town that one was in. I liked the mentorship of the alums from another. I liked the education. At Johns Hopkins when I was there, it was the #1 pre-med school in the world if you're going to do that. And you just felt like you were really changing people's lives. You were giving them options and giving them something that was a little bit different than they could get anywhere else. And then when I looked at UCLA, it had all of those things in one. And that really was it for me, is that, I walked through that campus and, I look at the athletic department and there's, first round draft picks and gold medalists in the Olympics. And then the regular students get involved and you think about just the 8% acceptance rate and, what that means for the quality of person walking around that campus. So there's a lot in here. And it's not a bad spot either, by the way.
This looks okay.
Yeah.
You're a guy, you look like a young guy. You've already paid your dues, though, at a lot of different places. And I'm curious as to how, for you, that changes the day by day, whether it's gratitude or drive, knowing where you are now, but also more importantly, knowing where you've been to get to this spot.
Yeah, I think those are two great words. Gratitude and drive, I think, are two great words that, you get hardened with in a way, or armored with. I was a head coach with 2 other full-time guys on staff. That was it, of a Division III school where we're doing laundry. I was doing work study. I was, making sure I was putting in the hours for everybody in the athletic department, in their work study jobs, as well as being a softball game manager and doing everything. So, when you get to those spots, you realize there's no job too small. And you realize that, those are the people that often get forgotten or not even thought about until something goes wrong. So to me, the idea of gratitude, the idea of appreciation, and just the idea of knowing how hard and how long it took me to get to this moment. You gotta make sure that you continue to dance with the one that brought you, right? And understand that all those people and the little things matter.
It was pretty obvious how much you appreciated this job through your assimilation into not just the football program, but seemingly every UCLA sporting event played anywhere on this earth after you took this job. I saw social media pics of you with teams at UCLA, on the road, supporting UCLA. Why was it so important for you to instantly embrace not just the football program that you inherited, but the entire community?
Yeah, well, it is that. It's a community. And I think I've been places where that head football coach is siloed off. You don't talk to him. No one speaks to him. He kind of runs the whole athletic department in many different ways, and it's all about what he could take and not give. And for me, I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that this is a community. That's how I grew up in this profession, being in D3, being in D2, being at FCS. A lot of us offices were touching, and we were under the same exact roof in the same exact hallway. So you got to know these people and you knew the struggles they were going through, and that camaraderie, I guess is the word, that it provides is important. And I wanted them all to know that as the, most populated team on campus, 100 some guys on it, probably the biggest in stature, that could go one of 2 ways. And I want to make sure that we use that for positive and let them understand that we're here to support all of them. And it starts with me as the head coach.
How familiar at all were you with the campus, with the facilities before you arrived on campus?
Yeah, not at all. Zero. Yeah, I came by probably, I think 3 times. I drove by on Sunset. I never went into campus, but I had a general idea of the area. I just didn't know a whole lot about, campus itself. And then you get in there, most recently voted the #1, campus in the country, and I think rightfully so.
So what were the thoughts that were going through your mind when you got to actually settle in, actually see what that campus is like, and actually see what the facilities are like that you'll be part of?
I don't think there was a settle in at all, because you arrived and, we got done playing our game, got through Christmas. 2 days after Christmas, I flew out here. The portal opened, I think, 2 or 3 days later. And this kid showed up for school because we're on the quarter system. They showed up early in January. So there was a lot that was just a go, and I did not have a whole lot of time to say, well, let me take in my surroundings. It was more about how do we get this team together as quickly as we can, and we did that.
Have you had the chance to do it since?
I have, yes, I have. I take a lot of jogs through campus and check a lot of things out in there. It is absolutely beautiful. And I drive in every day and just think, man, how blessed am I to be where I'm at.
How do you balance kind of that work-life continuum when it happens as quickly as it happens? You're trying to make sure that your kids are comfortable. Do you keep them in school? Do you move them to the new place? I think it's an element that a lot of folks outside the business don't really understand what college football coaches have to go through during these times.
I would agree with that. And now I did it before. So when I went to James Madison, I moved down to a 3-bedroom house that we rented with 5 other guys. So there's a guy on the couch, another guy on the floor, and that was it. We had a little computer screen as our TV, and that's what we did for 8 months. And I knew I didn't want to do that again. So I wanted to make sure that, I had my family with me. It was very challenging to be removed from them for that long, and I really wanted to make sure that, we got a chance to get them here, especially such a big move across the country. I wanted to get them here, get them into schools, let them figure out, meet some friends so that they don't go the whole summer, nervous or wondering what school's going to be like. So it was hard for them to leave, and it is very challenging to show up 80% of the school year done. Bonds are already formed and friendships are already made, and you're walking in, your kids are walking in at that moment, but there's really good life lessons in there too that I think will pay themselves forward.
What about on the field? What do you feel like you have accomplished in this short period of time?
Yeah, well, I think that on the field has a lot to do with what we do off the field as well. I think that the camaraderie with this team right now, the close-knit nature with, 40-some new guys from the portal, and then another 18 freshmen or 16 or 18 freshmen that came in here, that's a lot. So instilling the culture was going to be the bigger challenge of everything. And now we brought some guys from JMU, so that helped a little bit for them to be able to have the meeting after the meeting and talk to everybody about how this exactly works. And it's been really good. I think that they love this game, and there's no doubt about it. And I really empathize with everything they went through a year ago with the coaching change at week 3 and all the other things they had to juggle and balance. I really love the guys that stayed. I love how hard they compete and how much they love this game. And that's really the number one thing I wanted to accomplish as we went through the spring, was obviously get our systems installed, but I wanted to make sure that it felt right, and I think that it does.
And if you had to pick a player or a position that you would want to retain when you're starting over, and somebody who understands not just what the culture is at the school, but what the school can provide, and perhaps the relationship that you and he have to have. So how comfortable do you feel inheriting someone like that?
I think that he has done an unbelievable job since we've been here. There is no doubt he's the leader of this team. His teammates voted on him. He carries himself the right way. Obviously, he's a very talented football player. I don't think he had the ability to lead or even think about leading a year ago. He got here so late in the summer, had preseason camp. By week 3, his offense coordinator, head coach, quarterback coach, they're all gone. And he's got to try to figure it out. And I think that creates sort of an every man for himself type of mentality when you see so many people removed. So right now, though, to be there the whole season, when the season's done, be there with us through the winter, be there with us through the spring. He just continues to elevate his leadership qualities. And obviously, he's a really good football player, but he's becoming a really good leader as well.
You'll hear folks say, well, defenses are often ahead of offenses when there's a change because it's more instinctual than it is system-based. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? And at the end of the day, what do you want the identity of your defense to be?
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I agree with it just because it's got to be perfect on offense. To create a big play, you almost got to be perfect. You need all 11 doing their job. Defense, you could have one guy make a play out of nowhere, and it could wreck the offensive play. But, the brand of football that they play with is very physical. It's very tough. They, again, love this game, so they play with a ton of passion. And the way Coach Hitchler and that defensive staff set everything up, it's very user-friendly for the players. Looks maybe complex from the offensive side, but it's easy enough for the guys that are executing it, and they believe in it a whole heck of a lot.
You just mentioned one of your staff members. What was your thought process in assembling the entire staff, from not just game planning, but comfort level and chemistry within your rooms?
Yeah, well, I always talk about in these C's. The first one is they got to have competence, right? They have to be good at what they do. But I also want them to be able to connect not only with me, but with the players as well. The chemistry's got to be right. I don't want all, white guys from the East Coast. That's just not going to work, right? We got to make sure that it's balanced and diverse as it possibly could be. And at the same point in time, there have to be men of high character. Those are the 4 things that I look for, because we're going to spend a lot of time together. And I want to make sure that those 4 dudes that, they have all 4 of those traits, because there's going to be a lot of hours, and there's got to be a lot of trust. There's got to be a lot of honest conversations that happen. So that's all part of it. So, but a bigger thing is I want wanted to try to keep that staff intact as best we could. And we were able to keep the offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, and strength and conditioning coach all intact. And that's a big deal, I think, just as far as not wondering what's going on in those meeting rooms, because you've had now, a year or two with each of these guys, some of them 12 years together. So there's a lot of consistency in there. And that was a big part of it for me. But I also knew we had to diversify and be very different and find people, that are going to represent what our program looks like and have West Coast ties. And I thought we did a nice job of balancing that.
Bob, you've taken multiple teams at different levels to the highest level possible. Now you get the chance to do it at a Power 4 school. What are the lessons that you've learned that you will apply regardless of the level of football being played?
Yeah, so I think one of the first ones I figured out, this was when I was in the D3 world, it was about just the ability to listen, more than you talk. And I think that is something that you really want to know what the heartbeat of that team is. Just ask them and take a minute and listen to what they have to say. If you just ask them, why are we winning or why will we win? And they give you those 3 or 4 things. Well, why will we lose? And they give you those 4 or 5 things. And you eliminate those 4 or 5 things, you hold on to those 3 or 4 things. I think those are, good lessons that let them feel like it's still their team and that as the head coach you're listening, which is very rare when you come into a new place. Sometimes you just pound the table and tell them how to do things. And for me, I wanted us all to agree. I wanted to build the standards that we all agreed upon, because if they're only my standards, the minute I walk out that door, right, they no longer have to consider them, right? And they're all of our standards. Now, 24 hours a day, they're going to hold each other accountable to them. And that's a big piece of what I learned from the stops, along the way.
Finally, those stops also gave you a chance to see playoffs in different fashions, different number of teams, different brackets, what they look like. There's that conversation now obviously ongoing at this level. Where should we be headed with the college football playoff in the near future?
Yeah, you hear a lot of different ways. And I think, when you think about the 12, you're trying to get to the concentrated juice of just who should only be there. You get to the 24, and it opens a lot of different, opportunities. And I think when you look at every other league, every other sport, in the kind of, I think we talked about it yesterday, NBA, 50% of the teams or something get into the playoffs. To have it limited with so many more teams and only be at 12, I think that there's a lot of benefit, for these other teams. Even us at JMU a year ago, we weren't quite ready for that against that caliber team. Just the numbers didn't work financially. But ultimately, the idea of being on this same level and being able to build a team and maybe you're getting hot at the end of the year and you have a chance to roll that into something even bigger. I think that it's a great story. I think it brings a lot of excitement to the game, and I think that our league would be very well represented in there.
Bob, welcome to the Big Ten. Can't wait to watch UCLA football this coming season.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
The slate ahead for Chesney's team includes an opener at Cal. First home game is on the Big Ten Network against San Diego State. Then they open conference play the following week. That is a West Coast primetime game, also here on our airwaves against Purdue. Fairly manageable schedule on paper, includes only one of the 3 Big Ten CFP teams from last season.